February 24th, 2026, Beaverton Urban Redevelopment Agency meeting to order. Will the recorder please call the roll?
Board Member Duggar,
I am here.
Hassan,
Here.
Kenny,
Here.
Chair Teeter,
Here.
Tivnon,
Here.
Beatty,
She is on her way in. She'll be joining
Okay.
in a minute.
Hanning,
Here.
Nye,
Jennifer Nye is here. But
Sorry, I'm here.
There it is.
Walton,
Here.
Lear,
Here.
and my understanding is Hartmeyer Prigg is absent tonight.
Yes, that's right. Okay. Well, our first item of business tonight is the executive session. So we will first be moving into executive session in accordance with ORS 192.6602E to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. Under Oregon law, members of the news media are allowed to attend. However, it is the Bureau Board's requirement that the items discussed in executive session not be disclosed by media representatives or others. Any action that the Bureau Board may take on items discussed in executive session will be taken in open session after the executive session concludes. So we now ask that all community members and staff who are not participating in executive session the script says to leave council chambers, but we actually have a different Zoom link for executive session that the Bureau Board will join. And staff, you can correct me if I'm wrong on any of that, but we can join the other link. Other people can stay here. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, sounds good. We will be coming back to this link after executive session concludes. Thank you. Everybody's in. Okay. Staff, can you let me know if we've got everybody in from the attendees list or waiting room that we're waiting on?
Got a quick count. It looks like we have everyone on the BURA board.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, we are back from executive session. Thank you for your patience. Anybody who is not in executive session with us. Are we recording? We are recording. Okay. Do I have a motion from any item discussed in executive session?
I move to authorize the executive director to sign the purchase and sale agreement with Shirley A. Moore Trust for property at 12905 Southwest Beaver Dam Road as discussed in executive session.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Great. It's been moved by Board Member Husson and seconded by Vice Chair Lair. Is there any discussion? Do I allow discussion here since it was executive session? Any discussion on the motion? No. Okay. Recorder, can you please call the roll?
Board Member Duggar,
Yes.
Hassan,
Yes.
Kimmy,
Yes.
Teeter,
Yes.
Tivnon. I can't hear her.
Yes.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hanning,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Walton,
Yes.
Lair.
Yes.
10 yes, 0 no, 1 absent.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. The first item on our agenda is our visitor comment period. So visitors are allowed to speak to the Bureau board about matters not included on tonight's agenda. And so, recording secretary, do we have anybody here to address the Bureau board tonight?
No, Chair, there is no one in person or online.
All right. Next is board communications. Do any board members have any information that they would like to share with the rest of the board or the executive director? Okay. On to our business section. We've got several business items for tonight. So the next item is Bureau Bill 2026-07, the Urban Renewal Advisory Committee 2025 report. So tonight we have Devin Baker, last year's URAC chair, and presenting here the URAC annual report. Tyler, could you please introduce Devin, and then you two can take it away.
Yeah, happy to. Excited to see Devin Baker here tonight. Devin has been our chair for the 2025 year, and what we like to do is always come to Bureau Board once a year to have the chair give an update, an advisory report to what's been going on in URAC. Just a little bit about Devin. He became a member of URAC in 2022. He is a retired school teacher and principal, living in the northwest corner of the city. And what has been awesome for us to be a part of Devin's time with URAC is the fact that he suddenly got so interested in downtown. And that has resonated this past year with his leadership on the advisory committee and really pulling folks along to show his enthusiasm and excitement and continuing to build on all the things that we've been talking about over these last 15 years. So with that, Devin, thank you for waiting, sir, for a long executive session.
Yeah, it's I see that does happen sometimes. And so my name once again is Devin Baker. I'm the 2025 Urban Renewal Advisory Committee, the URAC chair, the outgoing 2025 chair. It's good to be here tonight to make this presentation. And Tyler, are you going to forward the text or am I? I know we talked about this.
I have it.
You have it, Janine? Okay. All right. Let's start with the first slide. We began in January 2025 with election of officers. I'm the guy, Devin Baker, with the orange sweater and overcoat, and then next to me is Ben Reese, the vice chair. We were both elected during that meeting. We also had a really good presentation about homelessness that night from Chad Stover, and we talked about the program itself a little bit, many partners, Just Compassion, Greater Good Northwest, and others. So we have a new shelter now, and it's been in operation for maybe at least a year, and I think we're making good progress. So let's go to February. In February, we really got the ball moving with a program income policy discussion, actually introduction from Tiberius Solutions and Nick Popenick, which I believe was presented to BURA later in that time. But basically for me, larger dollar amounts as loans versus grants was the major, I think, advantage, but it depends on the situation as well. So our work plan, and the bottom part of this slide, the 2025 work planning, I think this covers it really well, what we did the rest of the year. You see a couple pictures over here of the solicitations that were the mainstay of certainly the first one, Hall and Center and Lombard West. But we'll cover most of these items right here, transportation, growth, accessibility, as we get through this. So let's start in March. We had the First Street Dining Commons update with Megan Bronston. Really started as a pandemic support in 2020, and who knew that it would grow to be such a mainstay. Now there's board approval for the design process for flexible permanent commons with street trees, street lamps, and the next steps will be discussed in 2026. Then we went to the Hall and Center Street redevelopment site with Janine doing this. It's a kind of amazing, really. I really like these two. We'll talk about them. The vacant building is in disrepair on Hall and Center, and that whole area is scheduled to be, it's going to be demolished, that building, with the development. We'll talk some more about it. Vertical housing development zone was next with, again, Janine presenting. And this was really about a state law to encourage mixed use, high density housing and mixed use development areas designated through a partial property tax exemption. There are 3 projects that are certified. This sounds very promising. It was due to be sunsetted in 2025. It's extended to 2031, so that's good news. We followed up with the Ripple at the end. You can see a pic here, but let's move on to the next slide. And thank you, Janine. In April, we got to do our first field trip, and our group does like field trips. Tour provided by Mill Creek Residential. This was a great trip. We spent the entire time in the building, really. We originally were going to come back a little bit earlier and look at some other things, but we were very interested. Residential amenity spaces, parking structures, stormwater mitigation. It was pretty cool. And don't forget that picture at the bottom, that scenery of the clouds, the mountains in the back. It was amazing. And then in May, we started a tour, really did the tour recap. And I talked about it a little bit, but we also noticed that there were no affordable housing units here. You did see the views, the decor. I don't think I mentioned the sound mitigation that was mentioned to us, larger 3-bedroom areas. Again, quite a tour. We're always happy to get out and see things. And then back to the Hall and Center redevelopment site. I know this was, the developer was selected as Security Properties, approved and fully executed. Again, going to be an exciting site for us as we look at it, the progress of it next year. we finalized that work plan that you saw in the February slide a little more. One of the interesting things was a focus on restaurants to date. And we were asking questions like, what about retail and amenities to support those restaurants? And then finally, the economic development strategic plan update, Bill Berg. And again, it's about creating a space that is affordable, safe, connected, sustainable growth, and living wage jobs, among other things. And then we moved on to kind of I think one of the cornerstones for our work was this transportation night. Lots of giddy excitement when we got to here. I like this top little pic with all of the different types of transportation. We had a Canyon Road pedestrian safety project from Jabra Kasho, which runs from Watson to Hawken Avenue, with mentions islands and the flashing beacon, makes it safe for pedestrians. The Milliken Way Extension Project with Dan Turk presenting. It did have a council-directed revised concept plan for the stretch from Watson Avenue to Hall Boulevard. And then the downtown Beaverton Loop, Kara Hall and Leah Crabtree. We have sub-areas. And again, you can see that, I think, on the bottom, the little map inset here, and which kind of does show the areas that we're focusing on, which in a meaningful and easy, I think, to understand way. Kara Hall, Leah Crabtree, the sub-areas, Beaverton Central, from Crescent to Milliken, Promenade, and Old Town. And then we had a transportation plan outreach explained to us by Jessica Engelman, and she talked to us about the 470 odd number of respondents on with 80 or 90% agreement, the vision, access to all, affordability, and reliable choices. So quite an evening. And then we moved on. We skipped July and went to August, and we have a presentation in August from David Snyder, Building Improvement Grant, which was, I thought, pretty powerful, really fair and equitable, improved building, diverse activity, and we want to have successful outcomes. And we had one at the Masonic Hall Center, and I believe also Ethiopian Restaurant on Lombard, that were both part of that program. Then we got into the parking and the downtown parking discussion with Molly Rabinovitz and Casey Graziano. Just an amazing presentation, just in the fact that we learned that 10,000 hours of data collection went into this, like 6,500 warnings, 4,100 citations, all kinds of really good data. That's what I liked about it, data-driven. We're looking for behavior change. We're not trying to be, to do things that cause anger, but it's a proactive enforcement approach. The goal was to have 85% of the spaces used 80% of the time. So and there's more to do on this downtown parking discussion as well as we enter the new year. And then in October, and these two I really appreciated because, well, we'll see as we go along here. The Downtown Beaverton Subbasin Strategy with Alyssa Maxwell. Really, the approach here is a regional one. There are 3 creeks that are that do flood occasionally, and we fix one a lot of times and it pops up in another place. So we need to start looking at things in a regional way, and also thinking of them as restored community assets and not just a problem. We had the portfolio redevelopment strategy implementation update. Janine was part of this with Liz Jones. Again, now we're hearing about the Lombard West, an exciting prospect here with public open spaces, and really sharing of that great thing that's going to happen. think it might be one of the tallest in Beaverton when it's all said and done. But it's affordable and market rate housing that's really to be noted. Also, the Holland Center, we're back on Holland Center, market rate mixed use housing as well there. That site does connect the Beaverton Transit Center with downtown Beaverton and also with Cedar Hills Crossing. Then we moved on to November, and Kevin Boylan, the Beaverton Climate Action Plan update. There's a lot here and a lot of moving parts, and basically that we have to do a lot of things at once at the same time and not just one thing. There's a reduction of emissions that we're always concerned about with climate, building energy use, transportation. We just talked about transportation is part of this. But I think for me, education is super important because we all have a role here, all of us. We can't just put this off as a program over here in the corner and someone will take care of it. Large businesses must participate. We then had some time with our BURA garage ground floor leasing update from Megan Bronston. We had 5 total spaces that were having trouble leasing. We learned some lessons here that, construction costs were skyrocketing or at least going up a lot. And so the deal terms had to change. Some needed longer lease terms for cost recovery. And wow, we had Fabio's Tacos lease as a result. So good things. And that was a lot we're talking about. This was almost the whole year. And we're into December now. We have the year-end URAC celebration. I really do like this. This is the kind of the way, this team was a special team, I will say. We worked well together. Everybody was open and honest with each other. And we enjoyed a meal together with local restaurant. We also, and I don't know if there's another slide, there could be, oh yeah, here it is. The winter night Old Town walking tour. We went out the door around the corner past Bluto's to Fly Chai up Canyon, across the tracks to Hall, viewed new restaurant here at Kennard, then went left Dos Hermanos, Old Town, crossed back over at Watson near Lazy Days. Again, walked back down to the Masonic Hall to hear about the changes done here due to the building improvement grant. And it was great because now that structure can be used for medium-sized groups. So there's some really good things going on, I think. And I want to just put out a big thank you to several groups here, for Tyler, for his tireless efforts to keep us on track, and Janine also, same kind of thing. They worked in tandem, worked really well together with us. We super appreciate them. And also all the people that you see in the picture here, despite that ugly sweater that I have on. But just a big thank you to the Bureau Board for taking your time to listen. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Devin. We do make some space in case there are any quick comments Bureau Board members have for you. So Bureau Board members, any questions or comments? Okay, I'm not seeing any. So Devin, I will just say thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for waiting so long for us. We really appreciate the work that you and the URAC team are doing. And you all have been a part of some really important and fun conversations over the past year with transportation, stormwater, housing. There's a lot of good work that you are being a part of. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, it was fun, and I appreciate just the opportunity to be able to speak here. And you guys have a lot of work that you're doing, I know. And so thank you for taking your time. I know it's been a long night with your executive session and such, but I will get out of the way and let you get to work. So have a good evening.
Good to see you, Devin. Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the Bureau Bill 2026-08, the annual financial statement and financial report for the fiscal year 2025. So Assistant Finance Director Susan Cole is here with us. So Susan, whenever you're ready, you can take it away.
Great, thank you. I have no PowerPoint, I just have a few comments to make. And so, first of all, I am joined tonight by one of our finance and accounting managers, Suleiman Amini, is here to help answer any questions you might have about the financial statements. But I am here tonight to present to you, to the BURA board, the required annual statement that states the maximum indebtedness of the agency and the impact on the overlapping taxing districts, and also the annual audited financial statements of BURA. So both of these financial reports are required under state law. So first, in your packet is the 24-25 fiscal year statement, and that notes that this is the 12th operational year for BURA. It also notes that the maximum indebtedness for the agency is $150 million, and as of June 30, 2025, about $75 million has been incurred, which is about 53%. The impact of the overlapping taxing districts is also seen, which is roughly 4% of the tax base that is divided to urban renewal. The annual financial report is presented to the board for your acceptance. The financial statements of BURA were audited by an independent audit firm, Baker Tilly. The auditor's report begins on page 11 of your PDF material, and there you can see in their report that they gave us an unqualified opinion stating that the financial statements fairly reflect BURA's financial position as of June 30, 2025. So that's a good thing. So we passed the audit, everything is great. We're in a very good, strong financial position as an agency. And that concludes my remarks. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Susan. BURA board members, any comments or questions for Susan? Okay, I'm seeing none. So do I have a motion to adopt or to accept the BURA annual financial statement and the financial report for fiscal year 2025? Anyone can make a motion.
I move to accept the financial statement of position.
I'll second.
We've got a motion from board member Kimmy and a second from board member Duggar. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. Recorder, will you please call the roll?
Board member Duggar,
Yes.
Hassan,
Yes.
Kimmy,
Yes.
Teeter,
Yes.
Tibnon, did she drop off the call?
I'm here, yes.
Thank you. Beatty,
Yes.
Hanning,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Walton,
Yeah.
Lair,
Yes.
10 yes, 0 no, 1 absent.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. So we have 3 items, I believe, that we're doing all at once. 2 items here, excuse me. The next is Bureau Bill 2026-09, the resolution number 2026-071 for Beaverton Central Garage Commercial Lease with Kulfi LLC, followed by Bureau Bill 2026-10, resolution number 2026-072, Beaverton Central Garage Commercial Lease with Lumiere Bakery LLC. So Tyler and Mike, whenever you two are ready, I think the presentation is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to introduce Mike. I know most of you know Mike as our Economic Development Manager, but he has also taken the role of completing these leases at the garage after Megan Brodston left for Lake Oswego last month. Mike's got one PowerPoint presentation, but he is bringing both leases into the PowerPoint. Just please note that we will be making a motion individually on each of those leases. So Mike will pause after the first lease conversation, take any questions, and then we'll go from there. Thanks, Mike.
Okay, I'm working on my sharing here. How's that? Is that working for you?
Now, yes.
It is now? Great, great. Okay. A little adjustment to go here. Okay, so we have 2 leases for the garage, the BURA developed and owned garage here. Problem is, it's not moving forward. Okay. So the request today of the Bureau Board is to listen to updates on the retail leasing process for the Beaverton Central Garage. Also, we're going to have 2 resolutions that we're going to be asking for adoption, authorizing the executive director to execute leases within the Beaverton Central Parking Garage with Lumiere Bakery LLC to occupy Suite 110 and Kulfi LLC to occupy Suite 120. Quick recap. I'm sure the board has seen this before, but we wanted to just go over the adopted project goals for the ground floor retail. It's to recruit active businesses that are open during regular hours and that are publicly accessible, to bring businesses that promote arts and innovation into the district, to support diversity in terms of business owners and customers, and to ensure business viability. And finally, to create a collection of tenants with a mix of owner levels of experience. So what we have here is a real good kind of mixture of what I think are sort of business and community factors that complement each other. And if we do hit these, we're going to have a lot of success here at the garage. So let's start with space 120. You can see it here on the diagram. It's with the red with the sort of the red striping here where it says there's an arrow that says premises. Suite 120 it fronts Crescent Street. It has some limited visibility from Rose BG. It's next to Mama and Hapa's, and then also between that and Suite 110, which will be our next lease. And it's 1,008 square feet. So for this particular location, we're looking at Kulfi LLC. Here you can see Kieran and Gagan in the picture here. They started out with a bike cart, moved on into a farmer's markets and pop-ups, and they later went to a walk-up window on Alberta Street, and then a full restaurant and production space on North Williams Avenue. What is their product? Well, Kulfi is an ice cream. My understanding, it's an ice cream that's simmered versus churned. It's well regarded in India. It brings in a lot of South Asian flavors. They also have ice pops, and then also sort of frozen beverages that they're offering as well. They want to open up a second shop in Beaverton. And why do they want to open up a second shop? Well, some of their most regular customers that were coming all the way over to Portland, all the way over to North Williams on a very regular basis were from the West Side. And so they quickly came to realize that West Side location was for them because of all of the customers that were coming on a regular basis and asking them, when are you going to bring this over to the West Side? So let's look at the lease terms here. So here in Suite 120, we're looking at a 6-year lease with a 6-year renewal. We're looking at stepping it up $1 a foot for the first 3 years and then 3% after that. We're giving him 6 months of a free rent period to get possession of the space in order to do the TI improvements. The TI allowance is fairly modest, especially for a food service space, $75,000 with a $5,000 sign allowance. Now, this is considered a what was the term the broker gave me? A cold kitchen. This isn't considered a full restaurant build out. They're not doing any production here. They're just going to be doing serving here. So it's going to be freezers and areas in order to serve the ice cream, allow people to taste the flavors. So it's not a full restaurant build out, and this space wasn't initially intended for a restaurant, but we thought that this was going to be a really good foot traffic generator. It's a proven concept. It's a concept that we think fits well with our district, fits well with the West Side. We're looking for tenants that are complementary, but also tenants that are going to bring foot traffic and have proven owners. So that's why we thought that this was a good bet. So the break-even point will be about 6 years on this. So maybe a little longer than on just a retail space, but shorter than some of our full restaurant spaces. So Tyler, I don't know if you want to call the question here or.
Yeah, I think this would be a good time for any questions, and I do see Sarah's in the chat there.
Yeah, so board members, if you got questions for staff here before we take a motion, put your name in the chat. I do see board member Ted nod first.
Great. Yeah, I think it's awesome. I'm excited for them. I love that this is their second location, so that shows that they really landed on something great. And I love that they want to be in this location. The only thing that caught my eye was the length of the lease. And the reason why I say that is because this is still an up and coming area in terms of the foot traffic. It's like that if you build it, they will come. There's a little bit of that push and pull. We're putting stuff in that we hope is going to be a draw to get people to go there, not just the people that are already going there. And I'm curious what the foot traffic has been like for the other businesses. That would be a great report to get back to BURA to just hear how it's going, if it's meeting their expectations. But it might not for the first businesses. It's all about just continuing to build the attention here. We're going to see a lot more foot traffic just by the development that we're doing in other areas, but it's not maybe here all the way yet to support and sustain these small businesses as they're growing, especially something that's as niche as offering one type of product, like a dessert, I'm sure there's considerations around that. So I would just like to know if there's wiggle room on the lease, if they need to break it early, that we're not going to penalize them for having if they decide this is too much space or it's the wrong location. I don't want to send that message to them in any way. I just want to be really cognizant of it for the businesses that are taking a chance in some ways of being there because they believe in what we're trying to do. I just want to be realistic that it might take a while for it to get to that place that we really want it to be. So it's just to make sure we're not going to ding them if they gotta pick up and find a different spot, especially for a small business. They're putting a lot on the line with this. So curious what others think.
Board member Tidnon, did you want a staff response for that or just open question, just kind of for the Bureau board to comment on together?
I'm curious what other, everybody, anyone who has an opinion on it. I think
Okay.
it's just something that's been rolling around in my head since we lost Gray Raven, and that thought of I'd like to know from them, what they're seeing. Just give us some feedback on that so that we know if this is proving to be a good move for their businesses.
Well, in terms of foot traffic, it has recovered since the pandemic. We know that from tools like Placer AI. We've also had a lot of consistency, at least in our food and restaurant users in this area. We haven't really had any turnover, and we've had a number of restaurants that have been here for over decades. But I do think that the new businesses are the ones we are concerned about the most with the food traffic and them finding their market, right? But I do think with this one, we do have proven proprietors, and we do think that there's a strong market for this product here on the west side. I mean, it's a product that's served in other Indian restaurants, Southeast Asian restaurants, but it's not something I don't believe they're standalone type of a restaurant.
I don't question that at all. I know you're making really good decisions, and these partnerships are bringing amazing businesses our way. So it has nothing to do with that. It's more about just if they had to leave before 6 years, are they? Do we have a penalty fee if they break the lease? And what does it look like? That was really where the question was.
Okay, gotcha. I'm gonna have to get back on you with that. Tyler, do you know the specifics of that?
No, I
How
don't know
we're
this.
addressing that with the lease?
Yeah,
I'll
sorry.
chime in. There's not a penalty fee.
Right.
What we would try to do is get someone, another business to go in to that lease. So they are responsible for the lease until we can get someone else to move in which case we could let them off of their lease. But, they're on the hook for the first 6 years.
Yeah. And these types of businesses turn over very quick in our district. We hear about these, restaurants and other similar businesses closing, and we ask them if they need help, and they're like, no, we have somebody already lined up. There has been strong demand and turnover, especially once a space has been upfitted and has the TIs.
Thank you. Board Member Hassan.
Yeah, I will share. As I shared earlier, I'm quite sick, so I think this is going to be my last agenda item. But I am this is why I wanted to be here, because it's so exciting. I know Kulfi. I grew up eating Kulfi. I wanted to be here to pass this. And I wanted to echo Councillor Tivnan's comment, because I am concerned about foot traffic and I want to make sure that we are investing. So no request of staff, except can we please make sure, as we're attracting really great folks here, that we're really holding close to them to help these businesses be successful, and not just Kulfi LLC, but the bakery. So I'm just going to jump in and make a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-071.
A motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I heard Board Member Duggar first. So motion by Councillor Hassan to accept the lease, second by Board Member Duggar. Any discussion on the motion? Mayor Beatty?
I agree with kind of everyone's point tonight about this being a really exciting opportunity for us to get some stuff down here. I do think we're going to have to do some warm handoffs and conversations with the RESER, because this is an ideal after performance. You're at the RESER, you want a sweet treat, whether it's you or your kids. And so I do think we have some responsibility in the BURA district here. I mean, personally, I'm going to eat some tacos and then ice cream, but it wasn't that long ago we didn't have any option. So I want to make sure that we're doing our work from our perspective to connect people to the RESER and the show line and all of those things. So excited to vote yes tonight on these, and thank God, because we cut the frickin' ribbon on the RESER 5 years ago and these have been sitting empty, and let's get some shit done.
Yes, I'm going to echo off of that too. In my mind, ideally, this is a great role for the Beaverton Downtown Association to plug in, help build some of those relationships and connections. But I'm very excited about those two. I think we've seen in Old Town people trip chaining quite a bit between different restaurants and businesses. We're getting some more of that opportunity up here in the round in Beaverton Central. So I don't see any other names in the chat for comments. So with that, Recorder, will you please call the roll?
Board Member Duggar?
Yes.
Hassan?
Yes.
Kimmy?
Yes.
Teeter?
Yes.
Tivnan?
Yes.
Beatty?
Yes.
Thank you. Hanning?
Yes.
Nye?
Yes.
Walton?
Yes.
Lair? 10 yes, 0 no, 1 absent.
Okay, thank you. Mike, on to your next one.
Okay, here's another one we're really excited about. Sorry I don't show my excitement as much as my predecessor, Megan Bronston, but I'm going to try my best here. So Lumiere Bakery, you can see the suite here for Lumiere. It's almost 1,500 square feet. It's just next door to Kulfi, the one we just discussed. It's right near the sort of the elevator lobby area. For the RESER, they have a little bit of outdoor seating. That's something that I didn't point out for Kulfi. Kulfi's going to have some outdoor seating as well. So let's talk about Lumiere Bakery. Ben and Doomy are the owners of Lumiere Bakery. They want to bring a Vietnamese European, really a Vietnamese French fusion bakery to this location. They're the current owners of Bamidi up here in Bethany Village, and they have also have previous restaurant experience before Bamidi as well, and that's a Vietnamese bistro. We think this is a great tenant to have right up next to the Reeser. It's given the level of craft and artistic expression that you can see just in these offerings as well. There are some other items that they are going to be offering, pastries with more savory flavors, croissants. They're going to be doing cakes, occasional cakes, as well as cake slices, and coffee. So the other thing about this tenant is we are expecting that this tenant will be leaning into the afternoon and evening hours as well, and have availabilities before and after the shows at the Reeser. So let's talk about the lease. So this is a longer lease. It's a 10-year lease that we negotiated with them with a 10-year renewal. The lease terms start at $30. They go up more steeply than on the previous lease that you saw through year 7, and then they flatten out with 3% annual escalations. Their free rent period is 8 months, and their TI allowance is $316,220 or $213 a square foot, plus a small signage allowance. So what's happening with this particular lease is that the build out is going to be probably our most complex in terms of all the tenants. They're going to have multiple enclosed and climate controlled rooms for food preparation and baking. Their electrical loads are going to be higher because of very specialized equipment they're going to be bringing in. So we're going to have to bring in transformers and other equipment to handle that. And because of that, and through our negotiations with the tenant, we landed at a higher TI, but then we also increased the rent in order to offset that higher TI as well. But we do think that this is a good investment into the space. They're really going to be a first-class baker. I think you can see that in the pictures, the offerings that we showed in the previous slide. And that requires real precision to do well, and more expensive TI. They're going to be selling on premises, but they also believe that they're going to have a pretty strong occasional and wedding cake business going along with it as well. So they'll probably be doing a lot of tastings within the space too. So you can see some pictures of their offerings, the croissants, the savories, some more of the really decorative type pastries here. So yeah, we're on to our second request here, and this is for a resolution to authorize the director to execute a lease for Lumiere Bakery LLC.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mike. Any questions for staff on this lease?
I'll jump in and make a motion to adopt resolution 2026-072, authorizing the executive director to execute a lease with Lumiere Bakery LLC.
Second.
Great. Motion from Councilor Hudson, second from Councilor Tivnot. Any discussion on the motion? Yes, I see Mayor Beatty's hand going up.
Yeah, I just want to say 10 years is a huge testament to the belief in what is happening down here. Good job, Mike and team. I know this is no easy negotiation. We understand the power and everything that goes with this, but this has been a gaping hole since Beaverton Bakery closed. And like, you know, my 8-year-old, the last cake I bought from them was her first birthday and their smash cake there. And so this is a long time coming to have this kind of specialty occasional cake store opening again. And so I'm excited to see this as well. So appreciate the work that you guys are doing.
Yes. Any other comments on the motion? Okay, I see none. Will the reporter please call the roll?
Board Member Duggar,
Yes.
Hassan,
Yes.
Kimmy,
Yes.
Teeter,
Yes.
Tivnon,
Yes.
Beatty,
Yes.
thank you, Hanning,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Walton,
Yes.
Lair,
Yes.
10 yes, 0 no, 1 absent.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Megan and Mike and Tyler and everybody else who's worked on this. This is really exciting. Okay, we're going to move right along to the next item in our business portion of the agenda. This is the BURA Bill 2026-11, the pilot program for BURA tenant moving assistance. Janine, I believe you have the material presentation for us tonight, so whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Bureau Board. Janine Lambert, Senior Development Project Manager. No presentation tonight. Tonight we are just seeking your approval of a 2-year pilot program for Bureau tenant moving assistance, as outlined in the Bureau Bill and the guidelines provided to offer voluntary financial assistance to Bureau tenants moving to facilitate future development of Bureau-owned property, and staff is here to answer any questions you may have.
So I missed it. You said no presentation. You're just open for questions right now?
Yes.
Okay.
There are guidelines attached to the Bureau Bill.
Okay, got it. Okay, thanks. Bureau board members, you can put your names in the chat for comments here, questions. I'm going to go ahead and throw one out there, and then I see board member Duggar put his name in the chat too. Can you talk a little bit about what a subtenant includes? So this was referenced a couple times in the materials, and I was thinking of back in, it was probably 2019 when Curiosities was closing because of all the construction of the thre and the space that was needed, and there were somewhat subtenants inside of that building, but the majority of them didn't have business licenses, but they were renting space from the property owner. Like, I'm curious if we've got a good definition for like what a subtenant is. Like, there were 60 businesses there. Would all of them have qualified for relocation assistance? Okay.
Not in an antique mall or a flea market would not be a subtenant in this. But if you had a sublease of a portion of the space with all of the rights that are associated with that in some kind of a month-to-month type of agreement, that would be, and I would definitely rely on legal to confirm that.
Okay, so there's some higher threshold. That
Yes.
would be met. Okay. Do we require a proof of a business license or anything for subtenants? Because I would think that would be necessary. Okay. And I just have an open wondering about, should we require expense documentation for everybody, no matter how much they're receiving, or is there a reason why we aren't requiring expense documentation for I think it was amounts under 25,000 for businesses?
We are not. So with limited staff resources, we have to be really mindful of what we're doing. We, in the past pilot program, had an expense verification process. So estimates required at the beginning to qualify, and then actuals reviewed at the end. And it always ended up to be at the higher threshold, typically at the $50,000 threshold. And it was substantial substantiation of every Amazon broom and dustpan needed. And so we had internal staff discussion with legal and determined that we were going to propose estimates required only and not the final reconciliation.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Go with some questions. Board member Duggar first.
Yeah, mine was around the same thing. Like, my biggest concern there, and I hear about the workload, and I think that's real, but I look at incentive structures, and are we just telling businesses, to apply for this automatically, and you get it no matter what, right? Like if you don't have to document anything, because this feels like if I'm a business owner, I'm gonna, even if I don't have $25,000 in expense, I'm going to tell you I have $25,000 in expense, and I'm going to get a $25,000 check, and that just, maybe I'm just being cynical, but I just like, I don't know if there's maybe some other ways we can get around that sort of work thing that you're talking about, because I hear you, Jenny, and I think that's absolutely real. Like I don't necessarily want our staff verifying. Maybe it's a guideline on like, you don't necessarily have to prove, but these are the types of expenses you can do or something like that. Maybe there's some middle ground there, but it just feels like if there's not anything at all, then if I'm a business and I see this, I'm absolutely applying for it at the lower threshold, because then I don't have to document anything, and that just sort of seems like a transfer of money that would happen automatically. So help me feel better about that.
Which we have done in the past. So Curiosities, the large entity, not each subtenants, did receive assistance to move. So did another BURA tenant in a property. And those were lump checks. We did not require anything. So this is requiring quite a bit more than that. And it is a 2-year pilot program that's being proposed. So we're not to say that this is the best that we can come up with, but something to provide a mechanism for voluntary assistance where relocation is not something that would be qualified for.
I think I understand. So can you answer like a little bit about like that business? If I'm, I don't know, Solar World or, one of the companies in downtown, like how are we going to track that? Like if they just apply for, or anyone, right? Acme Anvils applies for $25,000 with no expense documentation. Are we just assuming that that's a legitimate expense and we're just going to do it as part of the pilot? Like, how are we going to make sure that not every single business does this if they don't legitimately have the need? I guess I'm not.
There are limited BURA tenants that will be expected to move to facilitate redevelopment in a short-term horizon. And so, yes, if it is Acme Business, LLC, $25,000 is something that is just sort of, and it could be an expectation without the documentation. It is more likely, based on the past pilot experience, that they will find a way to substantiate estimates that get them up to 50 if that's provided. And so that is allowed to provide additional incentive. That's quite a bit of money. It was what was provided for properties in the past. There were some concerns about constraining that. So we tried to streamline where we thought some of the issues were in the past pilot to make it a little bit more efficient and right-sized. But there could be improvements.
And I guess the final question is, there was a fiscal, I'm trying to remember, I should pull up the document, a fiscal impact, I think around 350. Is that going to be capped or something? Or can we cap that?
We could cap it. It's not proposed. The past pilot was limited to two specific property purchases at the time. This is not limited to the number of BURA property purchases, but it is limited to BURA properties that are purchased for the purpose of being acquired, and then the tenants would need to move. So it's sort of limited to our activities that would, would help people.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm okay with that, just because I think we're kind of capping it, like you said, but that may be something we need to address if we do end up going and getting a lot more of these, because I do want to be really careful here, but I think I'm okay with this based on.
And BURA could terminate the pilot early.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Board Member Tivnot.
Thank you. Yeah, I like the spirit of this because it gets to the heart of the fact that this is essentially Beaverton that would be disrupting someone's business or disrupting someone's life because of a project that we believe in strongly enough to do something like that. And it doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel good if people are begrudgingly brought along with it, like if they're renting and it's not their decision to make, their short-term lease, that kind of stuff, month to month. I mean, so I like the spirit of it. I like that there's a 2-year cap on it so that we can really see how this pencils out to take this approach. And I also like that it has a cap to it so that there's an expectation kind of built in of how far we feel responsible, like a reasonable amount of what moving fees would be. But that being said, the cap for residential seems really high to me. And that maybe I'm just not calculating all of the costs associated with finding a new apartment, because that's what these are for residential. They'd all be apartments, I'm assuming, not condos. So it's just that number seems like I would be looking for things to all the bells and whistles to add to my home move. I would go all out with the movers. I'd have other people pack my stuff if I had a reimbursement of that size. So I'm just throwing that out there that I'd love to know the math behind it.
It is based on the prior pilot, and then we actually capped it further from what that pilot had. And so it had like 48 months of, increased living expenses if they rented into a higher cost property. And so this provides for only 12 months. So we didn't reduce the amount, but we effectively reduced it by only allowing 12 months of that. So you could get a much more expensive place, but it's only 12 months and maybe you get to the same number.
But that also kind of gives an indication that this is affordable housing if they can't find something commensurate with that.
There is terminology, and I apologize, I should have said that too, but there is terminology kind of like property in there.
Yeah, like literally, if they can't find anything else in the same rent bracket that they were in, because it sounded to me like you're saying it's almost like a supplementation if they can't find that somewhere else. So I'd also just throw that out there. I'd want to be really careful that BURA doesn't look to acquire properties that are already existing affordable housing. I do not want to displace people into a different rental bracket. That does not feel right to me. So I know I'm chatty Cathy tonight, but there's a lot of things coming up here that seem really consequential tonight that should get thrown out there on something that seems great on the surface level, but then there's something in there that is just giving me pause.
That is in the acquisition, the BURA policy, the BURA acquisition guidelines has a statement in there that we follow with all of our acquisitions that we try not to. We don't actively look for those properties. It doesn't necessarily mean that it won't happen, but it's not a preference to go after those types of properties.
I saw the Assistant City Attorney, Robin, pop in. Robin, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Oh, I was just going to add that it's not just rental assistance for the residential. It also, does assume that in some cases there may be, some owner occupied, and it's also down payment assistance as well.
Okay, thank you. Before we move on, okay, so Mayor Beatty, Board Member Duggar, but just had to drop off for some family support. Before we move on from this, the question you raised, Board Member Tifnon, I know we don't want to displace people, but it is something that has come up in the past, especially talking about Milliken. And while we might not make a decision to do something like that, like future BURA boards or BURA board members might have a decision that's affected by this. And so if we're able to have the pilot program up and running, could be some benefit with that, even though we don't see when it would be used in that case, but maybe it is in the future. I don't know.
This is specific to BURA also.
Yeah. Good. Thank you.
I need to also correct myself. I didn't mean owner occupied rental, because this is only for tenants. But if we have a tenant that could move into something where they could purchase a property, this could be a down payment assistance instead of a like rental, for instance. So just to clarify that. Provide some flexibility.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Back to the chat. I see Board Member Walton.
Yeah, thank you for the clarification, because I was like, well, if somebody sells their house, then they are choosing to do that. I don't think we need to offer a relocation assistance. I agree with Councilor Tivnon. I feel like the business one makes total sense. I'm 100% on board. The amounts feel reasonable. I agree with the approach to have a bar of you don't have to submit anything. It is disruptive for businesses to move. Usually there's more equipment and things like that. I think on the tenant side, it is very normal for landlords to sell properties, to, leases are typically a year. And so I understand disrupting the lease and forcing a move. I think because we're BURA and because it's the city, I think I acknowledge that some sort of assistance is probably in our best interest. The amount feels really high to me. And so I would challenge us to maybe make the threshold a little bit lower. I think, again, some of the points that Councilor Tivnon brought up about just they should be able to find a like property. I think giving them a little bit of money. I think helping them purchase a house feels like not our job. And so I think that's to them to come up with their down payment, not for us to do. I think that sets up a not helpful precedent. So I think businesses, yes, because again, we're here to make money, getting businesses out and businesses in and things like that. I think the residential, I would challenge us to take that amount down. Thanks.
Before I go to Board Member Nye, Board Member Walton, do you have an amount that you're thinking about a reduction of residential, or are you just kind of throwing it out there for general conversation, seeing?
I would expect it to be a quarter of a business, not half. So I would half it, would be my proposal.
Okay, thanks. Board Member Nye?
I had a few points and I might lose track of them. But I'll start with Board Member Walton's comments. There is a housing shortage. It can be very difficult to find replacement housing. And the structures that we are likely to be purchasing and relocating people out of are not in great shape, I would have to say. They're typically pretty rundown structures. And to find a like for like is putting somebody in a housing position that's not healthy. So I think we should be thinking about, we're forcing people out of their home, which is really destabilizing. And we should have compassion for these people and where they're going to move and how that impacts their lives. And if we can, for a small amount of money, give them down payment assistance for long-term family stability, that would be a really great thing that we can do. And the city offers down payment assistance in other forms in the city already. I could see structuring this, and it goes to a later comment. I don't know if there's a way we could legally tier this, that if they stay within the city of Beaverton or stay within the BURA boundary, they get an additional amount of money to continue to revitalize Beaverton using the BURA money. That would be really helpful. The actual moving cost isn't that much, but if they're living in these structures, they probably don't have the money for first and last month's rent down payments. That's what this kind of stuff should be covering. So whether 12,500 is the right amount, I don't know. But I don't think it seems that excessive. 25,000, I'm reading that, seems like a lot, but so I do think we shouldn't lower it too much, is my point. And then so if we can also on the commercial side, think about having a tiered system where if they stay within the BURA bounds, they could get additional tenant improvement money. That would be nice. And then I wondered why only a 2-year time period on this, because I know you were all hoping we'll be having more RFPs, potentially more development in the next year. I find it hard to believe we will actually be moving forward that quickly. I think if we could do a 3-year or 4-year pilot project here, it would just save us from having to revisit this in the middle of a bunch of other stuff going on. And you already said we can shut this down early if we need to, or revise it. So those are my comments.
For 9. Janine, remember Nye brought up the timeline aspect of this. So if we do a 2-year pilot, how likely is it that we would see this program being used over a couple years? Or is this just a have it in case you need it kind of situation?
This is likely to be used by acquisitions currently in progress.
Okay. Okay,
Property
thanks.
purchases.
And that's probably all we can say right now. Okay. Okay, thanks. Is there any other comments? Put your name in the chat. Board Member Kimmy.
Yeah, Janine, can we put it into where this pilot program will be automatically reviewed at a certain point rather than just happen to be we notice something like in 2 years we'll just come back to the board for review, something like that?
It could be extended. You're saying to put something in there that states it needs to come back?
Yeah. So we don't forget about it because I won't be sure when it's going to trigger us to review it, right? Where if it's in where it has to come back to us at a certain time, then just review it. And nothing's wrong with it or everything's working fine, then we'll just decide on it. Or if there's an issue, then we'll address it.
Yes, there could be language put into that.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, I'll throw out one more comment, or I guess just my general thoughts. I'm kind of learning a little bit more. I would be okay approving the proposal that we have in front of us tonight. I think there are some good questions that Bureau board members raised tonight that I also share, but I feel like it's one of those times where I don't know how changing like the residential compensation rate would affect things. It could be good, or maybe not. Or I don't know what changing the timeline would cause for things, but it sounds like we have an opportunity to use it over a course of 2 years. And so I think this is just a good opportunity in my mind to try something out and see how it works. I feel like I actually talk about wanting more pilot programs in general. And now that we've got one in front of us, I don't want to be too nitpicky and say that it's not right when I haven't spent as much time on it as staff had. So I would be comfortable approving this tonight. But we will need a motion, and anybody can make a motion and we can talk about it more then. I see no other names in the chat. So is there a motion from the board for the proposal in front of us for the moving assistance pilot program?
Board Chair, I'll move that Bureau Bill 2026-11 pilot program Bureau tenant moving assistance be approved.
Okay.
I'll
second.
Was that Vice Chair Lair? Yes. All right. Motion by Councilor Tivnon. Second from Vice Chair Lair. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay. Thank you. Good comments, everybody, during the session leading up to this. Okay, recorder, will you please call the roll?
Board Member Duggar?
He had to step out for family.
Okay, absent. Hassan, she left as well. Kimmy?
Yes.
Teeter?
Yes,
Tivnon?
Yes.
Beatty?
she had to step out as well, so absent.
I'm sorry?
She had to step out for family as well, so she's absent here.
Okay, absent. Hanning?
Yes.
Nye?
Yes.
Walton?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no.
And absent, were there 4 absent?
I have Hartmeyer Prigg absent, Hassan absent, Beatty absent, Duggar absent. Is that correct?
Great, thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody. Our final item on the agenda is our executive director's report. So Andy, do you have anything for us tonight?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. At the risk of having others drop off, because I know what time it is, I'll just give a couple brief updates. One is that good news, last week CWS did approve our downtown sub-basin strategy for stormwater improvements. It's kind of the alternative that we heard about last month, so that's very exciting. It took us a long time to get there. I want to congratulate Alyssa Maxwell on all the work done on that, and Tammy Connolly. Today, we also submitted the $20 million request from the federal government for the BUILD grant for the downtown loop project. Jocelyn and especially Lee Crabtree did a ton of work on that, so I just want to give them thanks on that. And just a couple quick staff updates. Kasara Phipps was with the city of Beaverton for 17 years. She went to CWS. She was a senior planner, did work on the Allen Boulevard District Master Plan, South Cooper Master Plan. She came back to Beaverton and she's going to be working for BURA to implement some downtown infrastructure projects. So the pre-site open spaces work and with a loop and all the infrastructure requirements we have for redevelopment. So Kasara will be here to help coordinate that. And then Beaverton has a new arts program manager. Her name is Michelle Tan. She started last week. And she has over 20 years of experience in arts and cultural programming. And she was most recently working in Vancouver for the Fourth Plane Initiative. And she's done work with museums, festivals, public art, and has an international arts background as well. So we're excited to have Michelle join Beaverton because arts and innovation plays a big role in BURA's strategy for downtown redevelopment. And lastly, Tyler will send out some information to the board on the budget committee meeting in May.
Thank you, Andy. That was quick. Good work. Board Member Tivnon.
Just a comment that I think it says a lot about we stuck with it and kept the arts program manager role. And I think a lot of other cities are cutting back on that. And I think that's reflected in the caliber of this individual, like where they're coming from, that kind of a toolkit that we attracted that here to Beaverton is a huge win for us to keep this a really vibrant and worthy thing to be within our budget. So really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Since we're still on in Meadowlark, we expect a closing date for the Meadowlark Senior Housing Project in April. So you'll be seeing some movement on that this spring. It's very exciting as well. Not at BURA, but very, very adjacent. Couldn't be closer.
Thank you, Andy. And I will just add a couple comments that it's always good to get some good news these days. And there's a lot here that's just really, really good inside our BURA district. The stormwater sub-basin strategy, that's amazing. Most people won't notice it, but it's amazing. Having Kasara back is a huge win for the city. There's a lot of good here. The Loop grant, we want to be able to do good work, and we can't do good work on our own. Like, we need good people and funding from other people, and so we're doing that. So I'm excited for the progress we're going to keep on making together. I don't see any other comments in the chat, Andy, so I think you are good to go. Before we do, just a reminder that our next board meeting will be in March. But we don't have a determined date, maybe March 17th,
We're looking for
Around.
March 17th just for some business items. It'll be probably 30 minutes. That's what we're shooting for, but we'll verify ASAP.
Yep. So everybody just be on the lookout for your emails about that. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for your endurance tonight and have a good night. This meeting is adjourned.